In this video, I'm going to be playing Pitfall for the Atari at 2600. I'm giving you soft commentary and rain sounds to hopefully help you fall asleep. Just sit back, relax, and just enjoy these super basic visuals from the Atari 2600. There's no crazy rage out moments. Not going to be any crazy epic moments either. It's just going to be me running through a classic game that I think you may remember from the 80s. Actually really love Pitfall, so if you're watching the shorts version of this, just click the bottom of your screen so you can join me over here on the full version. Speaking of alligators, I just did another playthrough of Donkey Kong Country 2 for the Game Boy Advance. So if you're more into the higher action stuff, I got plenty of Donkey Kong on the channel as well, including the original arcade games, for the NES anyway. Let's just sit back, relax, not let any of this worry us. We're just gonna do our thing, try to get a high score, not worry too much if we fail or screw it up. This isn't one of those story-based games. It's basically just a very simple Atari game. One of the first platformers of its era, I guess you would call it. This was followed up by Super Pitfall, which was a pretty lousy game, let's be real. It was not the best one, and most people really do not like Super Pitfall, and I'm not a fan either, honestly. It's game over, but we'll just keep going. It's not a big deal. Doesn't have levels or anything, I don't think. I think it's more just, running along, trying to get treasures and, get a high score, and then eventually you die, really. I don't know if it has an ending or not. I never really got that far. But honestly, out of the Atari range, I've always thought Pitfall was my favorite to actually sit around and play. I should change one thing really quick on here, just for myself. That. Oh, okay. I just want to turn that off. I guess that little filter, the black and white filter, is for the people who have black and white TVs, wanted to relive that. Came out in an era when black and white was really more prevalent still. And the Super Pitfall is pretty awful. Being real, it's really bad. I think I'm just going in circles at this point. Oh. There's some treasure. Ooh, nice diamond ring. I accidentally started it over. Nope, we still got a spot. Meant to pause it. Wonder if these screens are randomized based on certain number of layouts, or if distance or time really does much to impact it, but it does seem like sometimes they get a little stuck on one exact layout over and over. I know it's an Atari game, so it's not going to have a ton of variety. So it just seems like it's showing me the same screen over and over. Which is fine. I'm having some fun with it. Hopefully you're getting some rest and relaxation from it. Honestly, out of all the Atari stuff, this and Berserk are my favorite two. I haven't played all of them. Really that many either. Maybe some incredible stuff that I'm missing out on. There is. Let me know in the comments below if you're still listening to this to relax instead of sleep. That way I can try some other stuff. I take requests of people who tell me they want me to play a certain Atari game. Or any game really, as long as it's not something completely offbeat or crazy. I usually will at least consider it. Usually do it as well. I love hearing from the audience, letting me know that I'm helping them sleep, and also get suggestions for what they want to see, and I do the best I can to accommodate. Second. Get a second to pass. This ring. Up to 15K for score. Like I said, I don't think there's an ending to this game. I think it just ends basically when the time runs out, which is fine. That's how they were back then. Nice, another nice little ring there. Another ring. Whoops. Those pits are sneaky. Gold bar worth 10,000 points. That's nice. I'd love to find a gold bar in real life. Would be nice. Speaking of that, there's another one. Lovely. You're using these to relax and you appreciate them. Please consider becoming a member of the channel. That way it will help me and Puppa, little weenie dog, continue to do this show together. She's sitting right next to me right now. I know you can't see her, but she's snuggled up, just relaxing. She's happy and I'm happy. Everybody's happy. Nothing to worry about. I know this is kind of funny because it's like, this is the complete opposite of what my old content used to be. Because some people are wondering, how do you have 10,000 subs but you don't get a ton of views? I was a reaction channel. Comedic one that was very loud and bombastic and, you know, lots of jokes and craziness and all that. And I got sick of it. You know, I got sick of doing that. It just didn't make me happy anymore. And I always wanted to be a gaming channel. But I never found success doing it, so I decided that I was going to do what I wanted to do, and I wasn't gonna, you know, let a genre that's full of bad vibes and, you know, craziness and drama become my life at this point. This is what I wanted to do, was create peaceful pixels to evolve into something that was more positive, more relaxing for me. So it is a complete opposite of what I used to do, but it's more genuine. Not playing a character anymore. Doing what I do by myself when I was off air anyway. And some videos are actually doing pretty good, which makes me happy that I don't have to rely on the drama circuit to, make people happy anymore. Not everyone's a slam dunk yet, but they are. They're doing better than I ever would have imagined. Put it that way. I feel like this channel is really an unexplored niche on YouTube where Let's Play back in the day, which I used to do, is pretty much dead now. Like, it's just YouTube doesn't like it, so I don't call that this at all. This is completely different than that. The only real similarity is commentary plus video game, but completely different vibes, completely different goal. For the Let's Plays to entertain you, like comedy and storyline and all that. This is the complete opposite of that, and I feel like most gaming channels believe boring, laid back is bad because it's not super loud and bombastic and retention fuel, but not here to be that. I'm here to be a utility, not the main character. Main reason I even add commentary is because if I didn't, it would add nothing different than someone just taking another person's long play and adding rain to it. So I genuinely make the videos myself, just sitting here with me and Papa if she'll allow me to play the game and just enjoy our time together with you and just hopefully help you relax. Little history lesson if you would like to just listen to it as you drift off. If you like stories while you fall asleep. For this, like I said, that was a reaction channel that was more based on comedy and jokes and loud bombastic humor and character driven. And one day I was playing, I got tired of the whole chasing drama and, watching negativity all the time. And I wanted to be a gaming channel again. Well, a big thing was there was a lawsuit that I won't even bring up who it was at this point because it might be over and date this video, but there was a lawsuit going on against reaction channels that would basically make the genre very unfavorable for YouTube, for the creators, and basically make it where if you did reactions, even with fair use, you were very open to legal action. Even if you would win, you'd still lose thousands of dollars defending yourself. And I was already sick of I was already sick of the genre. I was sick of the grind of it. Just decided I'm just done. I'm gonna do something else. And then I didn't know what I was gonna do yet. So I was thinking about doing Peaceful Pixels for a long time. Like Peaceful Pixels became the idea after a while. And I just kept thinking, well, no one's gonna watch that. You know, they want that whole Jacksepticeye constant cuts and screaming and, you know, loud bombastic. That's what they want. You know, that's why nobody does this content. Except for me, you know. Or very few do. Most are just like Minecraft, you know, with rain and no commentary and all that. Which is fine. I'm fine with that. You know, that's not what I want to do, but I'm fine with people doing that. I'm just a different type of creator is all. And I feel like what I do adds a little bit of extra where it feels like you have a friend talking to you, helping you relax and making you feel not alone at the same time, where, you know, someone's talking to you while you try to sleep softly, you know. And that helps some people, I would hope. But what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, yeah, I just get sick of the genre. It was becoming a legal problem, you know, for other people. I was like, I'm not dealing with that. Rather I do something else or I quit. And then I came across a speed run, because I love speed runs and I talk about them all the time, of a game that I actually played later as one of my first videos for this channel. And Yet It Moves, which is an indie platformer game. I was watching it because I always liked the game and I wanted to see someone actually, you know, really fly through it. But the guy that was doing it had an incredibly deep, smooth, relaxed, you know, tone, even though he was playing something really stressful. Like, cause that game is very stressful. He was just super soft and just chill about it. Like, he did not have any worry at all. Like, he was just like, yeah, whatever, you know. I heard this, I'm like, oh my God. It's like, you know, like a digital warm blanket, just watching a dude play a game and talk super soft through it. And it was like unintentional. Like, he wasn't trying to be a relaxing channel. He just happened to be that type of laid back, not, you know, worried about, you know, the whole thing. If he lost a run, he lost a run, and he was just super relaxed. I was just like, bro, I want to do that. That's what I want to do. I want to do that. Not speed run, but I wanted to play games, talk soft, give people, you know, that company through the YouTube video, and give them that comfort that they need. And if it doesn't make anything, fine. Because this is a passion project, and that's what this is. It's a passion project, not a business to me anymore. The likelihood of me getting a lawsuit over Peaceful Pixels is probably nothing. I don't know what they could sue me for. I fell asleep. You know, versus, you know, you said something ugly on a video I don't like, I'm going to sue you. You know, Peaceful Pixels is like, I fell asleep and I slept too good. How dare you? But I got stuff to protect me from that anyway. It's not a big deal, even if it ever did happen for some reason. If I can stop dying, that'll be good. Get pretty good points, 58,000. I think that's good. you're more into the speed runs and want someone that has a soft, soothing voice that's very quiet like mine, you check out Arcus, Arcus, on YouTube. He's a guy that speed runs retro games, but he wasn't the runner I saw that didn't get it moves. It's a different guy. But Arcus is very, very quiet and very calm when he plays through these very difficult games like Ninja Gaiden and stuff like that. Tell him I sent you, you know. Seems like a very laid back, relaxing guy. Just, you know, he never raises his voice, never gets angry. You know, if run fails, which it often does because he plays like 20 or 30 different NES games as a speed runner, and he's good at all of them somehow. He just like, you know, he'll just hit the reset button, he goes mash, 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 clunk, and then he just like starts another run like nothing happened. He just sits there drinking his coffee, doing his speed runs, just like it's a 9 to 5, just relaxed and not caring at all. You know, if the run fails, it fails. Kind of treats it like I do solitaire, you know. If it fails, whatever. Try another game, see what happens. My grandma taught me that, which was, she was a massive solitaire fan. She played solitaire every day. She was around her 60s, maybe mid 60s. Didn't watch TV at all. I don't think. Could read these romance novels that were not the, you know, NSFW stuff. It was very, very tame, sort of, you know, drugstore, you know, safe for work kind of stuff. Just basic romances. I guess the ones with Fabio on the cover, maybe. I can't remember. But it was very tame. You know, she would read her romance novels. And she would play solitaire a lot. She would just sit there all day with her little board playing solitaire. You know, with her same deck of cards she always used. And she just, you know, never raised her voice from what I remember. Just play solitaire. And, you know, when a game would just not go her way, she'd go, all right, you know, that didn't work. You know, then she just pick up her cards, shuffle the deck again, put in another deck of solitaire cards, and then just play again. She never took it seriously. She never got upset if she lost a game. You know, she just like, all right, well, off to the next one. And that's how she was. That's how I treated. Now I've basically become her, because sometimes when I'm off air and I want to relax, I'll play solitaire. And I feel the same way. It's like, well, that one didn't work, let's try again, kind of thing. And I enjoy solitaire a lot, actually. Maybe that makes me an old man. The game, I believe, was originally called Patience, which is kind of funny. I think it was called Patience originally, then they call it Solitaire. But yeah, you can just put me in a room, as long as it has a nice little bit of white noise and some cards and somewhere to put them. Just sit there and play solitaire all day and probably not get bored. Because that's the great thing about games like this or solitaire, is they're so simple, but yet so replayable, because there's no big story. There's no long dragged on cutscenes. There's nothing to it. It's just, you know, a very basic task of just doing the objective, and, you know, you do good sometimes, you do bad sometimes, and if you fail, it's fine. You just try again. You know, endlessly replayable. Doesn't take a lot of brain power. Dad was a big one of crossword puzzles. He loved crossword puzzles. He read a lot of novels too. He was more of a history guy. Like, he liked to read stuff about World War II a lot. And, you know, old politics and history, and, you know, about the presidents. Like, we have a whole house full of books about like the presidents and the You know, we got a copy somewhere of the Rise and Fall of the Third Reich, which is about the size of a frickin', you know, cinder block. It's like 2,000 pages, and it's a ridiculously big read. But I think he did read through it once. He always read. He didn't play cards really. Wasn't a card guy. Did a lot of crosswords. Did a lot of reading. Didn't really play video games at all. It was just basically crosswords and his sports. And he'd watch all the games and didn't really take it seriously. You know, if his team that he liked won, they won, and if they lost, they lost. He didn't really get into it and throw tantrums or anything if they lost. He was just like, oh well, you know, I was hoping they would win, but you know, they didn't. Then he'd switch over to the next thing. You know, every time he go on there, he'll be basketball, football, NASCAR, WWE even. That's the one he really got into closer to his final days was WWE. He loved WWE. And he knew it was a story. He knew it was fake, but he really, you know, got into it after a while and really enjoyed watching all the pay-per-views and all that. And he just loved it actually near the end. He just found it fascinating, I guess. And, you know, I know everybody hates the guy, but I think he was actually a Roman Reigns fan for some reason. And I don't keep up with it, but he used to tell my nephew when he would come over to watch WrestleMania or whatever the pay-per-view was, he'd come over on the weekend to watch it with him. And Dad would sit in his chair and he'd sort of put his hands up like he was trying to act like he was, you know, had feathers on his head, and he would say something like, I'm the tribal chief of the dogs, you know, because he had like 5 or 6 dogs in his lap in his recliner, and they would all fit up there in their own way. And he says, I'm the tribal chief, you know, because that was a Roman Reigns thing for a while, that he was the chief of all those dogs in his lap, including Papa. Papa would get up there sometimes. Papa was less a cuddler with Grandpa, but she'd cuddle with him sometimes. She liked WWE. Sometimes I'd go in there, she'd be flipped on her back watching the TV. Little baby. Love that girl. I really do love that girl. But yeah, she'd watch WWE with him, little weenie dog. And she loved it. She'd flip on her back, she'd just watch it, just like a human. She used to watch it with me too, I think. She used to sit in my lap and watch it. Just liked it. I don't know who she was a fan of, but, you know, can't talk, so. I swear, me and that dog, I feel like we can understand each other, which is weird. We spent so much time alone together over this past year. I almost feel like we understand each other like we don't even have to be able to talk. Like I'll just look at her and she'll look at me and I know what she wants. Or, you know, I don't know. She just knows when I'm upset or angry about something or something's bothering me. And, you know, I know when something's bothering her, and I can kind of, you know, she'll give me little clues of what she needs. Like, you know, if she needs water, she'll come back here and whine and then just sort of, you know, look towards, you know, her bedroom, and then I'll go in there and look and see what's going on kind of thing, you know. Well, she's intelligent enough to, well, we don't have conversations about politics or anything, obviously. I mean, it's a dog, but it's a dog. I don't mean it like that. I love my puppa. Like she's my daughter, really. And we just somehow just are kind of in tune where I just understand, you know, we kind of understand each other a lot. Like we're able to communicate on a level where I know if she doesn't feel good, if she's in a bad mood, or, you know, she didn't sleep good and stuff like that. And then if she looks like she didn't sleep too good last night, I'll check her bed and get it all straightened out, and, you know, then she sleeps like a baby after that. So we understand each other, but not on a way where we discuss politics and news and social issues or anything. But I can understand, you know, when she needs something, when she's not comfortable, and when she's not happy and all that. So we're pretty in tune together. Got a little bit diva like for a while where she'll whine outside of my door constantly, even at like, ridiculous hours, and I start having to correct her and train her back to, you don't, if you come up to the store and whine, you don't get what you want kind of thing. And she's done a lot better since that corrective sort of training. I didn't yell at her. I didn't hit her, of course. I was just like, look, I just told her, all right, go lay down. She knows what that means. I said, go lay down. And she went and laid down. And then I would go in there and I'd give her a treat because she would get in her bed. And I made it where I would only give her treats when she was in bed, because she wouldn't show up to the door expecting something. And she hasn't whined outside of my door since. Well, she does sometimes, but a lot less than. She was getting a little too demanding at one point, and I had to put the boundary up about that, and explained it to her, and basically gave her the cause and effect of, if you want something, if you want to sit with me, I'll come get you. You don't come here and whine at me and throw tantrums and stuff while I'm trying to work. So, when she comes to whine at the door, I say, go lay down. And then after I'm done working, I say, come on, I'll call for her and she'll show up. I'm just trying to associate her mind with, not demanding things and getting rewards for demands. Because that's one thing that you deal with younger children, is that if you reward their tantrums, they learn that if I throw a fit, I'll get what I want. That's why a lot of them cry when you tell them no, and then the parent will just give in to shut them up. And that's the problem, is you do that. And it works for dogs too. You give them what they want when they do a bad behavior, it emboldens them to continue said bad behavior, because they say, if I do X, I get Y. Basic psychology. And it works well for even adult humans. If someone whines, complains, criticizes, calls you names, treats you poorly. I'm not saying you train a person like a dog. Don't think I'm saying something crazy like that. No, I'm saying if someone treats you like crap and you give in to them to appease them, they're going to continue, because that's how they know. That's what they know works. But if you reinforce good behavior, like they treat you well and you treat them well and kind, and you compromise with them and you work with them as equals, you're a lot more likely to have a much better outcome than just giving in to whatever their demands are. Because I've seen it before. A lot of people that are kind of spoiled brats, even when they get older, are basically the type of people that have a partner that says, well, I'm going to do X, Y, Z just so he doesn't, complain or whatever. They don't feel like hearing it, so they just give in and do whatever the unpleasant thing is just to shut him up, and that's a bad pattern, because then it teaches them to expect stuff and use their negativity or negative action, whether it's complaining, whining, all of that, to prevent negativity of their self, because they don't care that you are not happy about their action. They're just happy they got the result they wanted. And it's a basic concept, really. It's a reward thing. It's, if I do action X, I get result Y. So if I go and throw a tantrum and act like a fool, and someone gives me $1,000, I'm going to go act like a fool everywhere. But if I act like a fool and they throw me in jail, then I won't act like a fool. That's how you train human psychology, basically, is to teach people, hopefully when they're young, cause and effect. That if I cry, I get punished, and if I am good, get good grades, aren't rude and all that, I get nice things. Like a video game, a toy, a candy bar, whatever it is. If I act good, I get this. But then, you also run the risk, if you give them too much good, that they can use their manipulation to basically do good things to your face and bad behind your back and try to fool you into thinking that they're good. But so you have to be careful with that sort of psychology. But if someone's treating you poorly, the best way to handle that is to not reward them with whatever they want. So if someone's a butthole trying to get a reaction out of you, the best thing to do is ignore them, because either they'll get tired and run off, or they'll apologize and they calm down. But if they leave and they were just going to be a butthole anyway, you didn't lose anything except for a pain in your butt in your life. You didn't lose anything. You gained something. You gain more peace when you do not argue with high conflict people, as they call them. You don't need them. There was a Stephen King short story, I think it was. It was a great example of this, of what you shouldn't do, honestly. But in the story, it was such an extreme thing that they really kind of had to do it to not die. But there was a line in it that was, "Give me what I want and I'll go away." And the thing was, the monster in the book wanted somebody's son to ascend to whatever other world he came from. But the problem was, if they didn't give it up, he would basically drive people crazy and they would basically walk into the ocean and drown. It's called Storm of the Century. It was on a little island or whatever, and the guy showed up, and bad things started happening, people started dying and all that. And he was basically saying, if you don't give me what I want, all these people are going to walk into the ocean and die, basically. And I won't spoil the ending, but I'll just say that was the concept. But in the real world, that's really not a thing. Outside of incredible extremes like a hostage situation or wild gunman kind of thing. But even then, you still really can't predict if that will solve the issue or save lives either. So the Stephen King version was an incredibly extreme example of that. Good book though. It's a good movie too. Stephen King's very, very hit or miss for me. Like, I really thought I was going to enjoy The Stand until I saw the movie. Well, I saw the review of the 94 movie and they said that, ChatGPT said that it was really accurate to the book. I'm like, bro, that was so lame. 1,000 pages of that. It had such a good setup and such a good idea, but then it just completely flusters it, because that's what Stephen King does. He has great ideas. He has great setups. And then once you get to the middle of the book, it's like, oh, God. And then the ending's just like, really? I mean, that's how we're going to end this. So he has, like, he has great setups at the beginning and then terrible payoffs the rest of the book is his big problem, I think. I mean, he has some good stories, but like honestly, it's just a lot of them are just so, ugh. You know what I mean? Like they just drag, and they're just not fun. A lot of them aren't. One I really did like though was The Mist. I think that was a great one, but that was few and far between. A lot of nonsensical rambling about everything, and then terrible world building. But I am intrigued by the Dark Tower because I do hear that it's quite similar to Fallout. So I'm gonna give it a try. I'm gonna give the Dark Tower series a try. That is something related to Fallout New Vegas. I hope. I'm praying that it's like Fallout New Vegas and he can redeem himself with that main series, that I'll actually enjoy it. But The Stand I thought would have been a lot more Fallout, but it was more like just ugh. It's such a good idea too. Well, at least I don't know if the movie cut a bunch of stuff out, but if the movie is what the book was, God, that's so boring. It's like nothing happens. Yeah, a bunch of people die and then nothing happens. And then God literally shows up and blows up a nuke. And it's like, really? Nothing happened. No scary super mutants. No other monsters. You know, over the top stupid devil, you know, insert and a Jesus black woman insert kind of thing. You know, it's like a black woman is basically Jesus. Or just a stand-in for Jesus. It's like, bro, why can't you just write can't you just write something good? Why do you have so many good concepts and then you just screw it up with everything else you do? I have been getting into Ian Fleming though, the guy who wrote the James Bond books, and I don't know if I'll say they're as good as the movie, but well, some of them are. But I actually kind of like his style where it's very laid back and it's not super kitchen sink like Stephen King does, and it's a very almost cozy adventure a lot of the time, and you know, a lot of, you know, kind of hard edge, you know, character going on a, they're like the movies really, you know, but it's the Bond in the book is nothing, almost nothing like the actual movies. You want to know which one he's most like? He's really most like Timothy Dalton, where it's very little charm and sizzle and a lot more alcohol and grit. He's not really, you know, the super ladies man. I mean, he is one in the book, sure, but like he's very stoic and, you know, very dry, very British, obviously. You know, pretty cold, and you know, he drinks a lot, and he's kind of a, you know, a torn up person that's just very human. Where like he just, you know, what did they say? I think they said in one movie, like, you know, he's kind of like a blunt instrument kind of thing. That's what he really is in the book. But it's not all razzle dazzle and gadgets from what I remember anyway, and all that other stuff. It was just basically kind of like a really, he really resembles like Detective Stabler more than, you know, the charming Sean Connery type, you know, or Roger Moore type. You know, very, you know, pretty dry, pretty dark, grim, alcoholic. has a lot of trauma. But I mean, he still went on fun and fantastical adventures and stuff like he did in the movies, but he just wasn't as, you know, silly as he was in the books, I mean, in the movies. But Dalton was great as that sort of Bond, and that's because Dalton read all the books, he said, before he even did it, and even turned down some movie that he was supposed to get before Living Daylights, because he just said it wasn't accurate to what Fleming would have wanted, the guy who wrote the books. So he really respected that and really tried to become the book Bond. He was very good at it. I think he would have been great in GoldenEye too, even though I love Brosnan. But he really would have been great in GoldenEye. But I think the reason he really quit was because they wanted Brosnan all along for the 80s Bonds, the Living Daylights and License to Kill. So it really wasn't a Dalton quit. It was more like they got the man they really wanted to start with kind of thing. Oops. It is doing that thing again. Fortunately. Let me just fix that again really quick. Off. Loud. And we're coming up on the end of this run to hopefully help you fall asleep fast. Did fall asleep, good night. And if you're still awake, please consider becoming a member to help the channel, or leave a super thanks behind if you think I'm doing a good job. Even $1 really does help, right? Just a little run up, and we're gonna just go away for a bit. But if you need to, you can always loop the video again and again on your PC or browser. PC or phone, you can just loop this video if you need it. Right? It's almost over. Leave with another 60,000 point score, which is about the same as the last one. And we leave you with that. Good night, everybody.